Going on? How y'all doing today? Hey, I just wanted to go through some of my, excuse me while I get this microphone. I'm also live right now on TikTok and I'm live on YouTube at the same. Shaw Speaks on both. So I don't know if you can hear me. If you on the live on TikTok, can you hear me good out this microphone right here? I'm gonna go live on both of them at the same time because most of my questions are coming from people off of TikTok because TikTok is where I'm posting most of my dog training videos. Hey, I appreciate you joining. Hey, how you doing, Paula? Appreciate you joining as well. Oh yeah, we about to start getting this going. And like I said yesterday, I'm gonna be going live anytime. There's not any specific time. My goal is just to make sure that I go live. Today, I have to be back in the shop in about 2 hours, so I wanted to get on here and just go live for a little bit before I have to be back in the shop. And plus, today I will be doing some more electrical work in the shop, so I will be doing that. So I was saying I wanted to do some questions and answers if anybody had any questions, but basically I wanted to give some tips because I get a lot of questions on how people can make their dogs better. Hey, I appreciate you joining. Thank y'all for joining. So the number one tip that I want to give people is dog training really starts as soon as you bring your dog home. Hey, let me know if y'all can hear me good on this microphone on TikTok. I can't tell. I have my hearing for YouTube. I'm on YouTube as well. So I wanted to talk about the number one tip that I give people. When you first bring home your dog, the first thing that you should do when you bring home your dog is get your dog familiar with the crate. A lot of people bring their dog home and they treat it like it is like it already knows the environment, like it already knows what it's doing. And what I'm saying is your dog needs to get comfortable with its environment. It does not matter how old your dog is. As soon as you bring your dog home, if it's a puppy or if it's a dog from a kennel and you're rescuing it, the very first thing you should do with your dog is get it used to being in its crate. So what that looks like is, hey, how y'all doing? Thank y'all for joining. I appreciate it. What that looks like is I tell people for the first 2 weeks, your dog's regular activity should be going from its crate outside to use the potty, back in its crate, and it should get used to the crate. This will help with keeping your dog from barking, keeping your dog from having anxiety issues. It will also get your dog comfortable with a safe space. The crate is supposed to be your dog's safe space. So I tell people, bring your dog home, put it in the crate for 2 weeks. The only interaction it should really have is the familiarization with its crate and then walking to outside to use the potty and back into the crate. That will help your dog quickly learn how to be potty trained. Like I said, it will also give it a safe space, understanding of a safe space. And when the dog is in its crate, it should not be bothered. It should not be messed with or poked at or anything like that. When the dog has a crate, and the crate should be off in an area where the dog can be like left alone, have some peace and quiet. And that helps your dog get familiar with this environment. It helps your dog, like I said, lower anxiety. It also teaches your dog not to bark. If you put your dog in a crate and you don't constantly mess with it or engage with it, then you'll have a dog that is less likely to bark. And that is one thing that a lot of people ask me is, how do you keep your dog from barking when the doorbell rings or whatever happens? And what I'm saying is, excuse me, my dog does not engage with the door unless I'm engaging with the door with my dog. That is the number one thing I tell all people. Make sure you have a crate. Your crate is your best friend. That makes it so if your dog has an accident, you only have to clean up the accident inside that crate. If you get the proper size crate, you are less likely for the dog to have accidents because dogs do not want to use the bathroom in the area where they also have to be comfortable. So my dog has a mansion-sized crate right now, but that's not where she started. She started with a small crate, and we worked up to this mansion-sized crate now because now she can stretch, she can move around, but my dog is still crated. Another good thing about a crate, when you have a puppy, the best thing about a crate is two things. One, it keeps your dog from learning without you. Dogs are always constantly trying to learn. And if you're not there teaching the dog, that does not mean your dog is not learning something. So then you would have to unlearn it or unteach it what it's learning on its own. Bad behaviors like chewing on your shoe. If you have a dog and your dog is not in your sight, like if you're not engaging with it, especially as a puppy, if you're not engaging with your puppy, then your puppy should be in its crate. And that will keep your dog from getting into bad behaviors. One thing you don't want to do is constantly tell your dog no. No is not a word that should be in the dog's vocabulary. You should be telling it, leave it, or you should be teaching it commands. No means absolutely nothing to a dog. Dogs don't learn words. Now, getting off of that, if your dog is like, say I'm sitting right here and my dog is over there chewing on something, well, I'm not paying attention to it. If you are constantly engaging with your dog when your dog is doing something wrong, then you are increasing the likelihood of your dog not wanting to be around you. So the way to get away around having to constantly correct your dog is when you are not engaged with it. Thank you for the hearts. I appreciate it. Put your dog in its crate and let it learn how to be comfortable with you not there. Now, another thing that is greatly helpful to when you bring home a brand new dog. So we just talked about it. When you bring home a new dog, you crate the dog. Hey, what's up, Mike? How you doing? I appreciate the love. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support too, brother. But the first thing you do is you crate your dog. 2 weeks of crate training before you let your dog interact with your home. That helps your dog start to feel comfortable in its environment, and it just helps out greatly. The second thing you do, I encourage everybody to get a leash. These are the leashes right here that I encourage people to get. You don't have to get it in this color, but I'm just doing this to show you something. You look at these two right here. One of them is split like this. The other one is not split like this. The one that is split, when your dog is inside the crate, this should be clipped onto the front of the crate. You clip it to the front of your crate. You let your dog get very familiar with this leash. This is your best friend. Leash training is everything for a dog. So what I'm saying is, first crate training, you put this on the front of the crate. Your dog sees this at all times. When it's inside the crate, this is the only thing it should see. This is clipped onto the front of the crate. Now, the reason for the cut one is because when your dog, after you have the 2 weeks of your dog being walking around your house, what I'm telling you should do is, as soon as you take your dog out of the crate, this leash, the one with the cut in, should be put on your dog as soon as it comes out the crate. You do not let your dog walk around your house, especially as a puppy. I tell people 6 months of this leash right here, 6 months. That sounds like a long time, but this is going to save you a lot of problems. If people listen to this, they will save themselves a lot of trouble. You take this leash, you hook it on your dog as soon as it comes out the crate. Once your dog is out the crate, now it's walking around. The reason this is cut like this is so your dog does not get hooked on things when it walks around the house. This could make it get hooked on something, and then it gets stuck. It's stuck over in the corner. You don't know about it. What I'm saying is, you put this leash on your dog. You let your dog walk around the house. You see how she chewed on this one when she was a puppy, but this was her leash right here. This was my logo's leash. And I'm saying this was a good 6 months of her life. She always walked around with this on. And what that does is, and I tell people, most people touch their dogs too much. I get it. You want to love on it, but people don't understand. And I'm giving a lot of information right now. I only plan on being on here for a half an hour. I got to get back to work, but I'm getting a lot of questions and I want to answer these. So most people do not understand. There are really and I could be speaking out of turn. I didn't write down notes, but I'm going to give you this off the top of my head. There are 3 forms of rewards you can give your dog. You can give them praise, which is verbal. You can give them food, and you can give them touch. Those 3 things. And they can also be the negatives as well. You can give negative reinforcement with your words. You can give removing something, which instead of giving them something, you remove something from them. And then you could also give negative reinforcement with touch. Most people understand what that means, but you don't want to hit your dog. One thing you do not want to do, you do not want to put your hands on your dog in a negative way. If you want your dog to avoid you, if you want your dog not to listen to you, then what I'm saying is if you strike your dog, you will make it so it does not want to be around you. So I'm saying negative touch is bad. Now, there's other training tools that you can use so you don't have to do that, but we try and stay away from negativity, especially physical negativity. So removing food from them is a form of punishment. Telling them they did bad. You can tell when your dog is listening because they know when you use the tone with them to tell them that they did something wrong or bad. Okay, but what I was saying about this leash, the reason for this is because I tell people, if you touch your dog when your dog is doing something bad, then you are encouraging that behavior. Most people don't understand that. If your dog whines and you say, come here, and you show it love, then you can expect your dog to whine again to get that affection from you. That is what I'm saying. Do not touch your dog all the time. And people who love dogs, oh, I just want to pet him. Fine, do what you do. But if you want a dog that's trained and listens to you, please hear what I'm saying to you. The reason for this leash is because when your dog gets inside the trash can, I'm telling you, do not go over and touch your dog. Do not say no. Do not say get out of that. They don't understand that. They will learn it over time, but you want to come up with words that you can say that will be impactful everywhere you go. Because in order to train a dog, you have to have consistent sounds. Don't worry about words. People say, oh, my dog's trained in German. Who cares? That just means you aren't going to be able to teach your dog any more words until you learn German. Think about what I'm saying. A wolf in the wild doesn't speak words. A wolf in the wild makes sounds. And those sounds are how they learn how to communicate to tell each other where to go. So it doesn't matter what words you use. It doesn't. When I say on the right to my dog does not know on the right. She just knows that's a consistent sound that I give her that tells her to go to my right-hand side. Now, back to this leash, because I'm trying to get to the reason for this leash. When your dog is in your trash can, I'm telling you, walk over to your dog peacefully. Don't get out of control. Walk over to it peacefully and you step on the leash. The reason for stepping on the leash is because what a lot of people don't understand is when your dog knows you're coming to correct it, it wants to take off running, but it doesn't have a concept on how long the leash is. Look how long this leash is. It doesn't have a concept of that. So what I'm saying is if you walk over, you step on the leash, then you have control of the dog once you step on the leash. The dog can't go anywhere. So now you can take your time, bend down, grab the leash, and you give your correction with the leash. Get out of that. I would say leave it. That little pop is the correction. You don't have to snatch or jerk your dog. I'm saying what people need to understand is a leash is like a guitar string. I got a lot of information. Like leashes are the most important training tool that you have. The crate is one of your best friends, but the leash is your communication tool with your dog. What I mean by that is a guitar string, when it's tight, it gives a good signal. If your dog is pulling you down the road, then that means that it is a tight leash and that is like a guitar string. If you are nervous, the dog feels your nervousness through the string. So people say, my dog barks at every car. No, your dog doesn't bark at every car. Your dog barks at cars that you are afraid of. And the communication, hello, how you doing? I appreciate you joining. Your communication is going through that leash. If you are nervous, your dog feels every nervousness that you have through the leash. That's why I tell people to walk their dog with a loose leash. No communication. And it gives you a way to correct better. So what I'm saying is, this leash, the one that is split, when your dog is first brought home and it does not know its way around your house well, you use this leash right here. Excuse me, for the people on YouTube, the one that is split. This leash is going to be your best friend. If you need to correct your dog, it's in the trash can. You say, leave it is what I say. Leave it. And my dog knows, don't touch that anymore. Whatever it is, that's not for me. Now, you walk over to the leash, you get control of the dog through the leash. Don't put your hands on your dog. If it's doing something wrong, this is an improper time to touch your dog. Most people touch their dogs at the wrong time. Now, If you're going to answer the door, your doorbell rings, your dog, all the way up to 6 months old, I'm saying at a minimum 6 months. If you learn how to control your dog in your house with this leash, you will have less problems controlling your dog outside when you're walking down the street. I'm trying to answer some of these questions that people keep asking me. I'm hoping this is being helpful to some people. But what I'm saying is this leash right here in the house, if your doorbell rings and you have a dog that runs to the door barking because your doorbell rings, what I'm saying is if you have this leash already connected to your dog, then you step on the leash, you get control of your dog, you grab the leash, you walk your dog to the door. If you show your dog who's in control by walking it to the door, and then when you answer the door, but before you answer the door, you get your dog under control. Do not open the door until your dog is doing what you want it to do. And then when you open the door, you make sure your dog does not jump up on the person who's entering the door. Get control of your dog. And this leash is going to help that. Another important thing that a lot of people don't understand. So we talked about crate training. We talked about leash, and leash control is going to be an indoor thing and an outdoor thing. Crate training is indoor thing. So leash is important because this is your greatest tool right here. It is going to help you correct your dog in the house. And once your dog understands the process of how we move, then you can start moving around easier with your dog outside. Don't let your dog pull you inside. And the best time to start with leash training is when your dog is a puppy. For people who say, oh, I was told not to start training my dog until it was a year old. Well, what I'm saying is we're not teaching tricks here. We're teaching behaviors. And a behavior can start at any time. And there is no such thing. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, whatever, but you can always teach a dog behaviors. So now what I'm saying is when you walk to your door, you get control of your leash. If your dog is barking at the door, you settle your dog with the leash before you open the door. Now, after your dog is settled, you open the door. If the dog starts to get aggressive or bark again, you close the door and you try it again. Sometimes this could help if you just had a friend come by and constantly ring your doorbell a few times a day, then you will have less problems with this. Now, another reason for this leash is because another important thing that you can practice with your dog in the house is called threshold training. Threshold training is when you do not let your dog walk through a doorway or a room or a threshold before you walk through the threshold. That is what the leash helps with. If you walk from your living room into your kitchen, you grab this leash, you walk your dog into the kitchen with you, but you do not let the dog walk into the kitchen before you. I don't even let my dog go in my kitchen. My dog has never been in my kitchen. That is different. I have a different kind of training requirement for my dog than most people. What I'm saying is I do not let my dog walk through any doorway or threshold before I cross it. This will help you keep your dog from running out the house every time your door is left open. If you teach your dog threshold training, you will not have to worry about a door being left open and your dog running out the door. That is the importance of this. That is why I'm saying people worry about my dog, it runs away. If you taught your dog good leash manners, you would not have a dog that ran away. Okay. Now, another good thing is if you teach your dog threshold training, you will also minimize the ability or the chances of your dog getting hit by cars. Because if you teach your dog not to walk out past the threshold before you, then you will also teach your dog not to walk off of sidewalks. You will also teach your dog not to walk out of your yard. Threshold training is just as important. Hey, what's going on, Jay? I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. So what I'm saying is the leash, first off, crate training. Secondly, leash at all times for the first 6 months. So I tell people crate train your dog for a minimum. Any new dog you bring home, I don't care if it's a puppy or a full-grown dog, let your dog get used to your environment slowly. That means 2 weeks of training in a crate. Anytime my dog has a problem, anytime I have any problem with lack of communication, we go back to day one, just like in basic training, baby. You get recycled by 2 weeks. Recycling 2 weeks. This is just the principle. I put my dog back on a 2 week, like Hey, we had a bad day out in public today. You weren't listening. We going back 2 weeks. That's crate. All right. Crate outside, crate outside. Then we get back to training once I know I have her attention again. And I'm saying, if people listen to that right there, I'm not telling you to neglect your dog. What I'm saying is, this is the pattern for people who bring home their dog for the first time. You introduce your dog to its crate. You take your dog when it's time to use the potty. This is how I do it. And I'm saying this would work very, very well, especially for new puppies. I say, take your dog outside, let it use the potty. Then if you want to engage with it for a few minutes or whatever, you bring it back in the house, you engage with it. At all times, this leash is the one that is on your dog. You don't engage with your dog, period, for the first 6 months. This is my theory. You don't have to do that. I am saying the longer you give your dog time on a leash, the less likely you have with them wanting to avoid a leash. So I'm saying 6 months. That's what I did. Well, I probably did a little longer, but 6 months. That way I didn't have to do any chasing. If you make chasing a game with your dog, that will be the game that your dog plays with you. So I always step on the leash. I always walked her around the house on a leash. I walked her inside the house on a leash because it made it easier to walk her outside on a leash. All right. The other thing was, you take your dog out to the potty. First thing, like, don't take your dog out the crate and play with them, because the excitement will make your dog have an accident on the floor. So I'm saying, take your dog out to the potty, bring it back in, feed it, play with it. I suggest hand feeding. Everybody doesn't want to do that. I get it. So if you want to bowl feed your dog, great, but you're missing out on a perfect opportunity to get your dog in tune with you if you don't use the food as your opportunity to train. That is what you see me doing in my videos with my dog. It is a bonding time. It is a great time to teach your dog like its name, recalls, different things like that. We'll talk about doing recalls outside, but I'm saying playing with food while you're introducing your dog to your home will also introduce your dog to, hey, I am the person who brings you food, so don't bite the hand that feeds you. It will garner their attention. They will want to focus on you. Whoever is the person who hand feeds the dog is the person who the dog will most likely interact with in the household. You show the dog love and attention through feeding, and the dog will show you love and attention through being your best friend. All right, so let's keep it moving. I got to get back to work. The other thing was, so crate, take the dog outside, bring the dog in, play with the dog. Now that you have the dog back in, after you're done with your little bit of interaction, whatever amount of time you want to do, put your dog back in the crate. Walk away, let it whine, let it get used to whining, just like you would do if you had a baby. When you have a baby, everybody knows, and if you don't, I'm going to give you a little bit of answer. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be on here long. Well, I'll accept. How you doing today? I'm sorry. Let me turn your volume up a little bit. I'm doing good. You got some questions or something? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not here to battle right now. I'm actually trying to give some people some helpful tips on dog training. I wish I was here to battle, but I'm just giving some people some helpful tips on dog training. I'm not really trying to battle. I'm sorry. Well, what you got? What you got? I'll give you some tips if I can. What are you having problems with? He's so fresh. What do you mean, like getting up on people, like humping on them or something? They're like men when they come into my house. Is that what you want? Well, you're gonna have to be able to differentiate between what's a bad man and a good man before your dog. All right, thank you. So I guess what I'm saying is, I'm sorry, I didn't know that YouTube or TikTok does stuff like that. I thought there was a person who might have wanted a tip, and I was willing to give it to him, but they didn't want a tip. I will just say, the thing that you can do after crate training, you take your dog outside, you bring them back in the house, you put them in the crate. You do not waste your time with constantly going over and checking on the dog. I'm saying, if if you reward your dog for bad behavior, you can expect more bad behavior. So if your dog is whining, if you walk over to the crate to make them feel better, you can expect them to whine again as soon as you walk away from the crate. And your crate is your best friend. It will help you get through a lot of hard times. My dog is in her crate right now. She's not whining. She's not doing anything. She's relaxing because that is her comfortable space. She knows that when she's in her crate, nothing and no one is going to bother her. So here it is. 2 weeks minimum. As soon as you bring home your dog, put them in a crate for 2 minutes or 2 weeks. In, out to the potty, bring them back in. You can engage with them a little bit, put them in the crate. That it should be the pattern. Out to the potty, back in and into the crate. Always on a leash. And this helps you make sure that your dog makes it outside to the potty and not runs off and uses the potty in a corner. You should be focused on your dog when your dog is outside of the crate. Why did it not come back on? It doesn't matter. So I'm saying crate train your dog. It doesn't matter what age your dog is. Make sure you crate train. As soon as you bring it home, that is the fastest way to get your dog potty trained. People who have problems with potty training, I do not agree with putting pee pads and things like that down on the ground, because if they smell a familiar smell of where they were allowed to use the potty, they are more likely to go back to that area to use the potty. So I don't suggest pee pads. I don't suggest treats, but I'm not the average dog owner. I get that. So for people who want to do treats, go for it. I just feel like if you spoil your dog, you're not going to get the best out of them. But everybody does not want the same thing from a dog. And that is why it is different training for different people. And it is more the person's responsibility to be trained than it is the dog's responsibility. Because if you don't keep up a consistent pattern with your dog, you can expect your dog not to understand consistently. So the reason why my dog responds to me with one command every single time is because we use the same commands over and over again, and we practice it and play around with it every single day. I have 10 all crate trained. I start pups at 4 weeks getting, okay, there we go. And see, that's at 4 weeks. And normally you can't bring home a dog. Thoughts on a prong collar. My thoughts on a prong collar are they're good for dogs that are pulling. They're bad for people who don't know how to utilize them correctly. And I will admit, when I first started using a prong collar, I did not know how to use it correctly. So make sure you learn how to use it correctly, because prong collars, they can be dangerous. And never put your dog in a crate with a prong collar on. Never put your dog in a crate with a prong collar on. Please pay attention to that right there. That is very dangerous. I do agree with you said you start introducing your dogs to crate training at 4 weeks old. I've never owned a dog at 4 weeks old because most people don't part ways with them until they're 8 to 10 weeks old. And my dog was a rescue, my Logo. She's a rescue. I got her at 4.5 months old, and we've been working daily on everything that you see since then. Prong collars are amazing if used correctly. My dog was pulling. I got a prong collar, and immediately she stopped pulling. Like, I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to yank it. I didn't have to do anything. She just was like, whoa, that don't feel good. And immediately I got slack in my leash. I'm telling you, loose leash. Everybody remember, loose leash is your friend. Tight leash is like a guitar string. Your dog feels everything in the leash and they respond to it. So if you're scared, your dog feels the scaredness in the tight leash. And that's why dogs end up barking, because they're thinking, oh, my owner's scared. I need to do something to correct the situation. Hey, how you doing? I'm almost done on here. I'm live on YouTube and on TikTok at the same time right now. I had some questions that I wanted to answer. And so I felt like this would be a good opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. I'm trying to go live on YouTube daily. I just thought, why not do the same thing? I get more engagement on TikTok, so why not get some questions? Okay, yeah. I hear about people. I've never tried to breed any. Yep. Yep. And see, all that stuff, hand feeding is your like, so I'm just gonna say it like this. To me, the order of things that you need to have if you are bringing home a new dog, period. It don't matter age wise. A crate, a leash that you're willing to split like this. You can use this same leash outside, but I'm saying this is so your dog does not get hooked on things. And if you teach your dog how to walk on a leash in the house, especially at an early age, I'm talking about threshold training. I'm talking about controlling your dog before you answer the door, those type of things. You teach your dog's manners. You teach your dog manners in the house, and then that will translate over to better manners outside. Teach your dog not to jump up on people in the house. Teach your dog to listen to you in the house. And then when you get out the house, you basically what I'm saying is you have more time with your dog in the house than you do out the house. So if you teach your dog to be responsible and respectful in the house, it will translate to out the house. Another thing is you can't just teach your dog a behavior in one place. For your dog to get understanding of the sound and what it goes with, you have to be willing and ready to teach your dog that in multiple different locations. That means if you teach your dog how to sit in one place, they're not going to understand sit when you go to the second place. You have to then again teach them how to sit. Basically, before my dog got a good understanding of sit, I had to teach her how to sit in probably like 6 different locations. And then she put it together. Oh, so that sound, because they do not learn words. People talk to me. Okay, because it's so much stuff going on outside when you're in your house. So the question was, his dog tends to listen well in the house, but it doesn't listen well outside the house. And what I'm saying is that is because there's more distractions outside. Distractions outside. You don't, so that is part of training. What I'm saying is one location, you made them listen well. So you also have to take your dog outside and make them listen well again. I'm saying this is where uh, hand feeding helps, because you can take your dog, and yes, it requires your dog to be a little bit hungry when you hand feed. This is what this is all about. It's using the tools that you have. Teach your dog how to be hand fed in the house. Then when you walk outside, you use the same food to keep that attention. So there will be a squirrel that runs past you. I'm saying take that food and say, here's some food. That shows them, don't worry about the squirrel, worry about me. The leash training. If you have a prong collar, they're not going to run after that squirrel because they know that at the end of that prong collar hurts. They will stay closer to you. I would like to take a dog downtown and just work with them hand feeding while down there. That is a perfect thing to do. And the way to start this, I'm saying, when you're at home and you're just sitting on the couch, hand feed your dog. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do another one right now unless I would, but I'm not ready right now. I'm sorry. Write me a comment saying you have questions and then I'll pull you in. But I'm seeing that people just want to battle me, and I'm not here to battle. I'm here to get some information out. Like I said, I got to get back to work. So that's where I'm headed. So what I'm saying, when you're sitting at home watching your favorite TV show and you're not paying your dog much attention, I'm saying if you're not paying your dog attention, you should put your dog in the crate. I'm not saying all people. If you want your dog to walk around and if it's well trained enough, that's fine. How do you make your dog lay down? That is the question. You teach your dog. And what I'm saying is you guide your dog. The easiest way to teach your dog moves is by hand feeding. You take your dog and you say down, and you motion with your hand, the downward motion with the food, and their nose will go down, but do not give them the food until their butt goes down with it as well. And then if you do that enough, you will teach your dog how to lay down. Now, hand feeding, what I was saying about hand feeding, when you're just sitting still and you're sitting next to your dog, you take the food and you just give it to them. You don't have to require anything from your dog. Hand feeding also just builds a connection with your dog. When you hand feed your dog, you're teaching them, stay near me, and I would be just feeding. Stay near me, give it a food. Now you can feed as much as you like at a time, but I'm saying start slow. And there is a certain amount of food. My dog only gets 2 cups of food a day. It doesn't matter if I give her a cup in the morning or a cup in the evening, or give her all her food at one time. How do you get them to grab it gently? Through practicing. What I would say is it's about the way you cup the food. This is how I cup the food. I put one piece of food behind there and I make it so they can't bite anything. They can only get that one piece of food out. If I had a piece of food here with me now, I do. It's in my jacket because I still have not fed my dog. I will be doing some videos hand feeding my dog this evening or this afternoon. I feed her throughout the day. When I have time, I give her some. It's one of those things. So my dog is a service dog, and I don't want my dog to learn any. Oh, I appreciate you you commenting and being here. I'm gonna try and get on here and do this more often. So I thank you for tuning in. But when you're feeding your dog, I feed my dog throughout the day. And it's kind of one of those things. I don't know when I'm going to have the opportunity to give her 2 cups of food, especially since I'm feeding her by hand. Like, I have a doctor's appointment to get to. It's at 7 o'clock in the morning. Well, I'm not going to get up and feed her 2 cups of food before we go to the doctor's office for 2 reasons. One, I don't want her to be in the doctor's office having to use the bathroom. We're not going to be able to leave the doctor's office. So I feed her as I can. She knows the first time we go out in the morning, that's when she has to clean her system. She has to use all her bathroom, number 1 and number 2, when we go out first thing in the morning. And she's accustomed to that. And then when she sees we're going into a building, I pay attention to signs like, it looked like you had to use the bathroom. Now, my dog does not like using the bathroom in front of other people. She doesn't like it. She's been like that since I got her. So let me give you some backstory on my dog. And I do have to get off here in a little bit. My dog is a rescue. And she was a street walking stray for 4.5 months. She was found on the street with her brother. And so she had an issue with not wanting to be seen using the bathroom in front of people. And you can understand why. If you were a stray dog using the bathroom in somebody's yard, you can assume that that person is going to come out and run you off. So that means people probably threw things at her. People probably tried to kick at her to get her out of their yard. The other thing, she didn't want to be seen eating in front of people. These are all the things that she had a problem with me with in the beginning. And you have to understand that. She was probably finding her food in trash cans. She was probably finding her food in places that people didn't want her. And so people would come up and just run her off. So another thing she had a problem with, she was a little thief a little bit. She would steal things and take them and hide them. Well, you have to understand. She probably didn't have many toys. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, she was a street walking stray. So what I'm saying is I had to overcome a lot of that. She still does not like using the bathroom in front of other people, and she will try to hold it. So I have to find places for her to use the bathroom when we're out in public. Like in my yard, she only has one potty area in my yard. She does not get to use the bathroom all over my yard. I literally walk her to her potty place every single day. The same way you see in my videos when I tell her to go potty, we do it the same way every single day at home. And that is how you build consistency. Everything has to be consistent. What I literally did was I built a rock area in my yard that looks like a curb. And every time I walk up to a curb anywhere, I unhook her from her leash because I don't want her pooping next to me. So I give her the freedom to get off leash, go use the potty, and then come back to me. That took about 6 months, maybe longer, for her to get an understanding of, I do not want you pooping next to me. And she was so confused. She used to poop on walks. So she's like, I don't know when I'm going to get in trouble or not for pooping. So she used to try and poop like a horse, like walking and use the bathroom at the same time. That was very, very frustrating because she was pooping on sidewalks. It was frustrating. But what I learned, and I try to tell other people, it doesn't matter what you're trying to teach your dog. You have to learn how to be patient and consistent. They will pick up on it. It just might not be in the time frame that you want them to pick it up. But if you are consistent with your dog, you will get the result that you want. And your dog only has to be trained well enough for your lifestyle. I do not expect everybody to train their dog to my dog's standard. My dog is a service dog. She goes in hospitals with me. She's been in what is it called? The Arch in St. Louis. She's been to the top of the Arch. She's gonna go on an airplane eventually. I just don't have a reason to get in an airplane, and I'm not gonna do it just to say that. But I have a list of places where I have trained her, and she's capable of going anywhere with me now. We just took the training collar off the shot. I use a shock collar because it is the best way. You don't have to use shock. There's vibrate, there's tone, there's a bunch of different things. And another thing, we go for walks at night, or when I let her off leash at night, I can't see her. Well, that my training collar also has a flashlight on it, so I can always keep a visual on her. My biggest fear, especially at nighttime, is my dog getting sprayed by a skunk with her just out roaming and doing what she wants to. So that's why I like to keep a flashlight on her as well. I'm going to be coming on here giving out tips as much as I possibly can. If you have any questions or anything that you want me to answer for you, feel free to drop me a comment and I will do my best to answer this. I have people who want to do virtual training. I'm saying I do live feeds. I can do where you can get on with me on here, or I can do Zoom calls. I can do it any kind of way, and I'm more than happy to help people get to the goals. But what I would also like is some way to get some support back. I don't care what it is. You could buy a t-shirt, you can donate, you can do whatever. I want to help people get more out of their dog because I see how many people struggle with it. And when you have a dog that you can bond with and connect with, so I told you my dog is a service dog. That means I have issues that require her to be a service dog. And I will be honest with you, the bond that me and my dog have formulated has developed a better quality of life for me. So she gets to go everywhere she wants to. What I'm saying is she has greatly changed and impacted my life on having a sidekick with me, and her movement, everything about it has just made a better quality of life for me. She is not an emotional support animal. I don't need paperwork. Look up the Americans with Disability Act, ADA, if you are looking at or you're thinking about getting a service dog. The requirement for a service dog is you have to have a disability that requires one. And on the Americans with Disability Act, it says what those disabilities are. And then you have to have a dog that is trained to help with those disabilities. Those are the two things that you have to meet to have a service dog. I'm saying if you can get your dog trained well enough and you have a disability, nobody can ask you to prove that disability, but I'm saying the court system will if you are walking around saying you have. Basically what I'm saying is if your dog disrupts a person who actually needs a service dog and causes them some kind of problem, you could end up in court, and then they will ask you to show. So people who are saying, oh, I could just have a service dog and no, what I'm saying is if you end up, there is no certification. So there is no certification for a service dog. So you can, if anybody is thinking that, there is none. The certification is you have a disability that requires you to have one, and you have your dog trained to help you with that disability. And then when you go in a place, they're allowed to ask you two questions. Is it a service dog? The answer to that is yes, unless it's not. And then what are they trained to help with? And you answer that. I'm not going to give any answers. Oh, yeah. But here we go. So I'm just giving a couple tips. I hope that this was helpful. I will be back on here because I feel like I can do this without any notes. And my real thing was I was trying to get good on my live stream on YouTube. So this just met that information. But I also want to help people on TikTok because that's where I'm getting the most traction with the dog training. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me. I will answer them as I get time. If you're not getting that answer, you can also follow me on YouTube. YouTube is where I spend most of my energy because YouTube is actually the platform that pays me, and your boy need an income. So You're more than welcome to support me on there. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on TikTok. Both of them are Shaw Speaks. Shaw stands for Skilled Hands at Work. I am a barber, but I'm saying these dogs are skilled hands and they're working. So there it is right there. How else can I say this? I am here to help people. That's what I want to do. I want to help people. I am not trying to get anything major out of this. I feel like when you're a good person and you help others, your blessings and your benefit will come your way. Hey, I appreciate the support. Thank you very much. And feel free to leave me a comment on there. Or like I said, you can DM me on TikTok. I want both platforms to grow at the same time. That's why I went live on both at the same time. So I want to say, I got to get off of here because like I said, I got to be back to work in a little bit. Plus, this could be an opportunity where I could be hand feeding my logo. While I'm at work, if I go live, I will more likely go live on TikTok than I will on YouTube, because for YouTube, I feel like I need this set up. On TikTok, I can use this and just go live from my cell phone. So I will probably go live on TikTok more often, but I am planning on going live on YouTube at least once a day. So every day, because I actually pay for this live stream where I don't pay for this live stream. So, hey, I want to say thank y'all for everybody who tuned in. I appreciate all the people who rocked with me and stayed with me. And thank you. I got 1.6K hearts on TikTok. That is amazing, because on YouTube, I have one person watching me and that's it. So hey, I thank y'all very much. If I could be of any help, drop me some comments. It will help me further with the information. If I don't know something, I will definitely do my research and get back to you. But a lot of the things are just thinking. Your dog is not a human. Do not treat it like a human. It doesn't understand words like a human. Dogs understand sounds. And if you're consistent with your sound, your dog will be consistent with you. Hey, so at this point, I'm breaking off of here. Hey, much respect, much love. Like I said, you can follow me on TikTok at Shaw Speaks. You can follow me on YouTube at Shaw Speaks. I'm wearing the same thing on both of them. You can see me on both of them the same. Hey, much respect, much love. This is your boy, and we out.